Oh.
Wow, that's really mean. Have you noticed that there's no entrance or exit in the maze in the bottom right corner?
In where?
Tabletop in the single map.
Bottom right.
No, this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a maze?
That's a rough maze. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's the Lady of Pain's maze. It's not like something you saw in the back of a Cheerios box. You're not supposed to find your way out of that maze.
Would that be like Baby of Pain?
The Babby of Pain?
Babby of Pain.
Babby's first maze.
So speaking of all of you guys getting mazed, as I recall, the last thing that happened on Hive Day, the 17th, was Kelian received a late night visit from...
Yes.
Lady like this.
Yeah.
You're right.
the Cornugon messenger of Lady Lygress.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she had a job for you. Do you remember what your previous job for her was?
Yeah. I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Or were you...
Just gonna keep it under his hat.
Yeah, he's gonna hold that card pretty close to your chest.
I might.
I'm starting to suspect he lied to us.
It was to... Let me check my notes.
I mean, I'm asking legitimately because I don't remember the details either.
I don't recall it either.
Something
It was
do
to
with
grab
the
that guy,
box
right?
and-
I don't think it was. I think it was the hook was to get... I don't even think it was a murder even, was it?
No, she wanted evidence.
No, it was... She wanted...
Yeah.
Against Ronath? No.
Against one of
so
Jandar's
many NPCs.
accomplices. Whatever it was,
Yeah.
you performed it admirably. She says she has another job for you. And this one, you'll want to bring some trusted friends along. So she's invited you to her estate for a business proposition the following night.
Yeah, sure. I will tell everyone, and everyone is welcome to come along if they so choose.
Okay.
Well, before we tell everybody, we'll open it up on Market Day, the 18th, in the morning. And we'll start with Riot. What is Riot's morning action that morning?
Riot is going to spend most of this day hanging out the Terrible Liar. She's got a College of Lore to join.
She has a what?
A College of Lore to join.
Okay. And so the Liar was the name of... Refresh my memory, because we talked about this over AIM, but I don't think it came up in the session yet.
Oh, yeah. This is like kind of a hangout of bards. The Terrible Liar is the name of a tavern spelled Lyre. And this is the spot in Sigil where bards go to swap stories, songs, bits of juicy gossip. The catch is to join, to become a member, which you have to be a member to hang out at the tavern. You have to sing your story. And Riot has not joined before because she didn't really have much of a story to sing. But now she's been across the lower plane. She's died once and almost died again, so she's got some juicy stuff to tell. Now she can afford her membership.
So, I immediately went to fantasynamegenerators.com to determine the name of the proprietor of the Horrible Liar. And they have a new Dragon Ball Z name generator. So, of course, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm clicking that. And the first name on this list is Gook.
Gook?
Wow.
That sounds
Really?
That's...
That's
I don't... Maybe
approve
go
of
to
that.
second name on the list.
Yeah,
I don't
let's-
approve of that.
we'll not use the first name on the list.
Okay, good. Because I was ready to spend some belief points there.
The second name on the list is Hollow, which is much nicer.
Okay.
Or Holo, I guess.
That's Warforged name.
It's a Warforged name? No, it's a Dragon Ball Z name, apparently.
What makes that a Dragon Ball Z name?
I don't know. I've never seen the show. So I don't know anything about it. So let me add Holo to the list here. So who is Holo? Why don't you tell us? Since this is probably
okay,
going to be
so-
an important character. You don't have to keep the
So
name
he's-
Holo either. I just wanted to tell my stupid
No,
story.
that's fine. It's as good as any name.
Okay.
So he's a proprietor then, right?
Yeah, and we've decided that he's a sensate.
Oh yeah. I remember him up too.
But other than that,
Wait, he's what? Oh, Sensei?
Yeah. So he's a sensate, and the reason that he founded this establishment was he was an active and eager sensate for many years until a tragedy struck, and he's now blind and has lost the use of one of his legs, so he can't get around as much as he wants. But he didn't want that to interfere with his sensating. I don't know what the verb for that would be. So he founded the Lyre to let other people bring their stories to him, let him experience the multiverse vicariously.
that might be the single most tragic sensate I've ever heard of. Alright, let me give him a alignment here. So where is the horrible liar located in Sigil?
Let's see. It'd be where the sensates hang out. Let's see. Where is the festival?
Down here at the Fest Hall in the Clerk's Ward.
Down here.
Okay. Let's put it halfway between there. Let's put it like down here on this windway.
Okay. Let me just update my notes here so like this character doesn't go awry. So when Riot goes to hang out at the Horrible Liar, does she go there in her Riot persona, or does she go there disguised as a sensate?
Let's see. The Riot persona right now doesn't last long enough for her to hang out there all day. So she's actually going to do something rare and join under her real name.
Okay, so she's going to go there as Calivia.
Yeah.
How early in the morning
What
do you
faction is
arrive?
Calivia?
That's a good
What
question.
faction
Sorry,
do you...
Yeah, what faction is
Oh,
Calivia?
She passes herself off as an in-depth.
Okay.
I think the question's come up before.
So how early in the morning do you go to the Horrible Liar?
Let's see. Weren't we all drinking last night?
Was there some
No,
drink?
You were drinking last night.
Mahogany and I, we had a thing to go do.
But Keelan and I were drinking.
Yeah, we were drinking last night.
All right. So
But, Keelan
Githzerai
went
gets
home.
there bright and early at like 10 a.m. or the Sigil equivalent thereof.
Okay. And do you go there with any of the members of your band? Parallel Eternity? Because you had said that
I think-
Tasbit was a member.
Yeah, we established that Tasbit is already a member.
Yeah.
So I'll let him I'll go with him to let him make the introductions for me.
Okay. Now, what is your goal for this morning at the college?
My goal is to secure membership for one thing,
Okay.
and throughout the day to kind of just learn new things, learn new songs, learn from all the people who pass in and out.
When you arrive early in the morning, Hollow is not awake yet. Typically, he rises sometime in the afternoon. But the doors are always open for members. And so Tasbit brings you inside, starts introducing you to some of the regulars, and after you've shaken some hands, about half of the people you've met, at least half of the people you've met, are sensates, and very clearly advertise that fact. But there are just as many non-faction members who are notable bards, some of whose names you've heard of before, who have made a name for themselves in Sigil. I'll leave it up to you whether there's any reverence or like contempt there. That's up to you, but this is definitely the right place. And on the way there, traveling there in the morning, Tasbit tells you that you need to have your song in order. Something not necessarily that they've never heard before, because in a city that's been around for thousands of years, every story's been told. He says the important thing is to put your spin on it and make it your story. So it's not so much tell them something they've never heard before, it's give them a reason to want to hear the story coming from you.
Okay.
So do you take your breakfasts at the college?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a quick charisma check.
Okay. Pull out some dice here.
Roll high.
Let's see, what did I roll here? Charisma.
The world's toughest eggs.
That's a 20. Straight 20.
Okay. Tasbit does not cover your bill. So
Okay.
it's going to be 2 gold pieces for the meal for a non-member. You're greeted skeptically but warmly. This is kind of a close-knit group. Kind of an elite circle, but they see that you've got some stripes, and everybody's kind of curious to see whether or not you'll fit in.
Okay.
So we'll come back to you in the afternoon and see if you can knock Hollow's pants off.
Perfect. Gives me time to write something up.
Mr. Ciclon, what are you doing?
Yes.
First, what are you doing in the morning?
What I'm doing in the morning
Morning action.
is I'm going to go to Father McDohl.
Okay, and do what?
I'm going to tell him that I'm probably going to be gone for a while.
That you're going to be gone for a while?
Yeah.
And he looks concerned. And he asks, is there anything wrong?
Well, I think my past is catching up to me, and I'd rather not see you. I'd rather not see good gentlemen like you get hurt because of it.
What does Armando know about your pasts?
As little as possible.
In that case, he begins asking you for details.
I'll give him the basic, like most. I'll tell him that I'm one of the people who blew the whistle on this whole slavery thing.
Okay.
And it looks like that, and it looks like I'll be, and it looks like it might be after me because of it.
So we have to make a decision about Father Armando real quick.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of cleric is he?
I hadn't given that any mote of thought.
Okay, it's going to be something that's going to come up in this interaction. So, like, what kind of person do you imagine he is?
I picture him as your typical like Roman Catholic type priest. I mean, not one of the kitty diddlers, but the good ones.
Hellfire and brimstone.
God.
No, fire and brimstone.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do
want
this.
it
So
religion.
so what I'm hearing is he's just very orthodox, but he's actually like passionate and kind and
Yeah.
legitimately working for people. He's just very by the book and very ceremonial.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting.
I'm hearing life priest.
So obviously a lawful god.
Trickster god. Every time you
Say
ask
Cooper.
about it, he says, "Don't worry about it."
They're a little big on retribution, though.
Excuse me. Like I said, I'm still not feeling 100%. So
One of the shitty dead Forgotten Realms god.
I don't think Burke does anything shitty in his game.
No microphone?
I wonder
There
if
it
there's
is.
some kind of compensation.
It's
Your
back.
god dies.
My
Hello?
microphone
You get, like,
decided to
parachute.
break. Did you hear the instructions I gave you, McDohl?
No, not at all.
Okay. Go into the PHB and figure out what Armando's sphere is. What kind of cleric he is.
PHB Sphere of Cleric.
Don't worry about actually
There.
picking out a god, because we know he's a human. And we know he's a godsman, so we know he's not going to be reverent to an evil god or anything like that. But let's figure out what kind of cleric he is, and then I'll come back to you after we do Kelian.
Okay.
Kelian, what's Kelian's morning action?
He's going to talk to find everyone in the party and mention that Lygress has a job if anyone is interested.
Okay. Dial that back
So-
one step, because it's probably going to take the better part of the day to get all of these cats into the same room.
That's what I figured.
So who are
I
you
like
going
that.
to try to
Herd all the
contact
cats in the
first?
same room. Who would I try to contact first? Probably Serenity,
Serenity?
since everyone congregates at her apartment.
Okay.
Work our way there from there.
Mahogany, what is Mahogany's morning action?
Mahogany is going shop.
Going shopping.
He
Wait,
just
where at?
the market. He figures there's a lot of shit going down over there, and since he's relatively well known at the marketplace, since he spends a decent amount of time, he's probably the best in base in the party to hear any rumors about what's going down.
Okay. It's actually very unlikely that Mahogany is well known in the Great Bazaar. If for no other reason than he's not an Indep. You have to keep in mind that the Great Bazaar has thousands and thousands of faces every day. Everybody does a lot of business in the Great Bazaar. That's not to say you can't go there and overhear rumors, though, and it's not to say that you wouldn't have close contacts there. But you wouldn't be a recognized face amongst the mass of humanity there.
Right. I was just saying that there would be at least several shopkeepers who would go, "Oh yeah, I know him."
Okay. Arriving at the bazaar, you have the same... It's not under martial guard, but you do have the same kind of experience when you come up the road going in, where a couple of in-depth toughs kind of shake you down for half a moment. Have you state your name, your business, make sure you're showing faction colors, make sure you're actually carrying Jink.
Mm-hmm. I went through this the other day.
Yeah.
I know the score.
So you're going to go and spend the morning talking with people in the marketplace who you've done business with in the past, who you've had amicable dealings with.
Mm-hmm. And I was also thinking maybe I'd buy one of those things that other people have been getting, the random objects, because those were really fun last campaign.
That's a 10 gold piece expenditure for a non-magical trinket to be determined later.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of topics are you trying to hear about? Let's narrow the search just a little bit. What is it that you're trying to learn?
Probably if anyone feels like there's going to be something going down soon. Because I know there's a lot of anger around.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, like, if they're planning on doing anything about it, like, in the next few days.
And when you say whether they're planning to do anything, you mean the in-depths? You're looking to see if the in-depths are looking to start some? Okay. Things are very tense.
And I also want to know who their targets are.
What do you mean who their targets are? Like if there's plans who in the factions they're targeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Things are very tense in the Bazaar. The in-depths kind of do have the place on lockdown, and like I said last week, it's busier than it normally is, and it's normally very, very busy, especially today, which is market day. The general sense of things is that the Harmonium and the Mercy Killers and the Governors, the three law factions, don't have the manpower to blitz the Bazaar, even if they wanted to. If they were to storm the streets and come in and start cracking heads, they would get just the fight of their lives. You hear rumors, every in-depth knows a guy who knows a guy inside of another faction who says, as soon as the Bantha Podo hits the fan, you know, I know a guy in the Doomguard who says the whole Doomguard's got our backs. Another guy, yeah, the whole Aethar's got our back. They're not going to stand for this at all. The veracity of those rumors is iffy. You being a faction member yourself, you're pretty sure that if anyone in the Transcendent Order actually said, hey, we got their backs, you would have heard about it by now, just through your faction. That being said, there's no violence. You don't see any hardheads in the Bazaar. They seem to be staying clear. You don't see anybody showing governor colors who isn't personally running a business. You certainly don't see any mercy killers on the streets.
How are the governors who are running a business being treated?
No better or worse than usual, because these would be people who either own markets around, like, permanent fixtures around the edges of the Bazaar, or who have important business to do inside the Bazaar. A lot of these guys, they don't just throw up a tent to sell goods. More, they are in various service industries. Like, so this guy's, you're not going to go to the Great Bazaar and buy a Viking longship, but you can go negotiate with somebody who can arrange for one to be purchased for you and delivered to where you need it. That's the kind of things that governors would facilitate in the Great Bazaar. It's the kind of business that they get involved with. So a lot of money changes hands in those kind of transactions. The in-depths usually have a very live and let live attitude to anybody who wants to use the Bazaar. And the rumors you're hearing also include a kind of schism between the Mercy Killers and the other two law factions. As in, you weren't at the speech, no? Only Kelian was.
No. I haven't heard about it yet. I have heard of the speech.
Well, then you hear one guy who was there. He heard Factal Nelesia's proclamation, and he says, yeah, I heard her. She called out the governor. She called out the Harmonium. She took no prisoners. She hung 16 of her own. Nobody's happy with her. The Mercy Killers are burning all their bridges. And he rants about that. That's what he's focused on. So, there's not a lot of sense that the governors are involved in any sort of violence. And there's no real plots as far as the in-depths looking to start any trouble. They're basically turtling right now. The consensus is, and I mean, if you ask about it bluntly, you're told, no, you've got it backwards. We're not planning on anybody. We're holding up here, so when they come with spears and swords, we're ready to receive them.
That seems fair. In that case, Mahogany has a positive view of the situation.
Okay.
which is probably pretty obvious to people talking to him.
And I mean, as long as you're spending money, nobody's gonna hassle you in the bazaar. But yeah, things are very tense because they're expecting something to go down, and they're expecting the Mercy Killers to be the one holding the axe. So let's go to... back to LC Clone. Did you make a decision yet?
Yeah, he is a light priest.
Light. Okay, bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to pick a god for him, and then I'll make a note of it, and you can make a note of it too if you want.
Sure. Absolutely.
Ooh, what's his alignment, actually? Did I pick him? Did we give him an alignment? He's lawful good. Okay. Yeah, I know his deity. Amaterasu.
Sweet.
Thank you, Nick, for not yelling at me for mispronouncing that. I appreciate that. But I'm sure I did.
I did. I was just on mute.
Oh, God bless you.
I was thinking it, so it's okay.
The puppy god.
Yeah, you don't know anything about Amaterasu except the realm is on Mount Celestia. Let's see here. Let me just do some quick reading on this particular god.
S.
Her realm on Mount Celestia is known as Radiant Light. A soothing land where everything is suffused with the soft glow of the sun. Yeah, the best waifu god. Okay. Let me type that into the NPC list here.
Dude, I don't want to hear about dog waifu.
I have enough tabs on my NPC list now that I actually have to use the little arrows to scroll back and forth. Okay. In that case, Armando has a difficult time letting the subject drop. When you tell him a little bit about like the broad strokes of your past, a little bit of what went down, he starts pressing for more details. And after a few moments of conversation, he invites you inside and asks you to sit down and have breakfasts at the kitchen.
All right, that's no problem.
So you're served a light, meager breakfast of bread and gruel and whatever else they're serving. But no, a lot of concern as he's pressing for details.
Okay, and that's when I will actually show him the mark on my arm.
Okay. What is your goal here? Is your goal to leave the conversation with telling Armando as little as possible?
If only for his protection.
For his protection?
Yeah. Less he knows, the better.
What kind of weapon would a cleric of Amaterasu wield?
Giant wheel.
A wolf on a stick?
Yeah.
Claws.
I was gonna say, can priest wield like claws?
Obviously, a paintbrush.
A paintbrush? Make me a wisdom deception check.
Wisdom deception. Okay, I'm pretty sure. Wait, that might be provision in that. I need to. Loading.
It is their 3.5 stats, so that we know their favorite weapon.
18.
18. you manage to convince Armando that the more he knows, the more danger he's in. And you see just this kind of pained resignation on his face as he comes to realize the trouble you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the meal, he tells you, well, I only wish there was more that I could do to help.
Well, if there's anything that you think of, I'll do my best. But and once this matter is settled, I will be coming back.
So you can't even tell me where you're going.
Don't even know where I'm going at this point. But imagine it's in the direction of the plane of Earth at some point.
So what details does Armando not know then? Let's attack it from that direction. What have you not told him?
Well, I'm gonna tell him that what does he not know? He does not know about. He doesn't know about the. He doesn't know about the package that we got from the gentleman in the Infinite Staircase.
So the impression that you're wanting to leave Armando with is that you're running from the situation, or that you're still actively investigating it.
That I'm actively investigating it, and I'm leaving to go face it.
Okay, so where you leave it with Armando then is, like I said, pained resignation. Like he come to terms with the idea that you have this demon to slay, and you've made it pretty clear to him that there's nothing much he can do to help.
Well, I just don't want to see you get hurt. I've already had one of my own friends already being dragged into it, and I sent him into exile for it.
And who was that?
From his home. The ball breaker, Happy.
Does Armando know Happy?
You might have seen him in passing. You might have mentioned him once or twice.
He says, if this is trouble that you wish not to deliver upon my door, I respect your wishes, but know that I am welcome to receive it, should it arrive.
All right. I'll be keeping in touch in some way, so don't think that you won't see that this is the last you'll see of me.
He holds out his hand, and he says, I certainly hope not.
Shake his hand.
So, at Serenity's tenement, once again, Serenity, first thing in the morning, there's a knock on your door. For like the third day in a row.
Serenity will get up. Serenity will get up, go to the door.
And it's Kelian and his cat.
I mean, I didn't do anything tonight. Or last night. She'll wave you in. Offer you a cup of water.
Sure, why not? A business opportunity has presented itself.
What kind of business?
Former business, someone I've done business with in the past has more business for me now, and she has requested that I bring a group of several friends to to help with this. So I'm not quite sure what she has in mind, but
Serenity motions towards her maul hanging on the back of her chair. That kind of help?
possibly. Considering all that's gone down in Sigil the past few days, or the past day, I think. I forget how many days it's been. But it seems like at least worth looking into.
Sounds good. When should we get together to meet this person?
Tonight? Tonight.
Where?
Yes, tonight.
We'll congregate here and I'll lead the way. How does that sound?
Serenity just sort of puts her face in her hands, like, I'm not sure that this is exactly the best place to be meeting. Maybe Mahogany's shop or someplace else that's a little bit less... I mean, I don't usually keep the same room here between visits. I've only done it this time because everyone needs to know where I am.
Sure. We'll ask Mahogany. See what he says.
Well, I'm going to go do my morning workout, if you're welcome to join me.
Alright, I will see you tonight. I'm going to find the others.
So going to the gymnasium to work out?
Yep.
Are you doing anything special there, or just going through the routine?
Just going through the routine.
Okay.
Clearing your mind, the whole meditative combat thing.
So back to Clivia.
Mm-hmm. Good timing.
Good timing. That afternoon, Hollow comes down the stairs, and he's just as was described to you. He wears a dark bandana covering his eyes, tied in the back. Is he human?
Sure.
Okay.
We don't have enough humans in this campaign. Let's make him a human.
I think like half my NPC list is human.
Oh.
Looks rather jovial, all things considered. He walks very slowly, leaning heavily on his wooden cane. But he comes down, and begins making his morning introductions, and catches word quickly that there's a new initiate, someone seeking membership in the college. And you see his face darken a little bit. But you can't tell what's being said. He's across the room from you, speaking with one of the other members at the moment.
Is Tasbert with me?
Yeah, he's still there.
Okay. I'll nudge Tasbert and point over at them discreetly. Say, what do you think that's about?
I believe that's about Hollow deciding what he would like to eat for breakfast. Okay, so what's next?
Let's see. I haven't personally met Hollow yet, right?
No, you only know him so far by reputation.
Alright, I'll go over and introduce myself, I suppose.
And as you do, you hear... the last words you hear him speak before you arrive, as he's speaking to this other member, kind of muttered under his breath, is, "The thing we need is another Tiefling." And then you approach and say what?
Hollow, I presume.
And immediately, you see him kind of scowl for a split second at the person he was speaking to, but then his demeanor brightens considerably as he turns to face you. He says, you must be the new initiate come to seek knowledge, lore, education."
That's my hope. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Clivia. You may have heard in other contexts as other names, but that's the only one that's important today.
And what are these other contexts in which I may have heard of your other names?
I typically perform under the name Riot.
And he shakes his head. Says, I can't think of any context in which I've heard that name, except violent ones involving chaos men. You're not a chaos man, aren't you? Are you?
Oh, far from it.
And he waits a few moments, and then he says, "Forgive me, I am blind. If you're wearing colors, I cannot see them."
No colors to me. I'm an independent.
And so it is your opinion, Kelian, that indepts don't wear colors.
Actually, that's a good question. Just out of character for a second, I assume I would know that. So, can you help me not make it gafted? Is it like an official independent thing?
It depends on the indept. Some indepts are official indepts. There's no such thing as an official indept. Like, no indept has paperwork and whatnot. But some indepts are kind of official, unofficial indepts, and then other indepts are very pointedly unofficial indepts.
Right.
As far as having an actual logo, there's not one that every indept would know. There's no secret handshake into the club, so to speak.
Okay. I'll just say, I'll just check on say I've never seen the point. Why wear the colors if you're not joining the club?
So that's what I've never understood about indepts. They say they don't want to be part of any club, and in doing so, they've created their own club.
It's a strange club of non-clubbiness, so to speak. The thing I like about it is that nobody tells me what to do.
At the mention of the word non-clubbiness, the other person who Hollow is speaking to, who's a man probably 20 or 30 years his junior, is kind of chortles to himself, but doesn't say anything. And then Hollow continues.
What's this guy's colors? The one who just chortled.
Oh, he's a sensate.
Okay.
Yeah. He's one of the, I suppose you would say, employees here. And everybody in Hollow's employ, everybody who's officially part of the college at the administrative level or at the service level would be members of the faction.
Okay.
So, Hollow continues. He says, and if I were to tell you, Kelian, that joining our college here at the Horrible Liar would require you to join my faction, your answer would be what?
Well, my answer would be to say that this isn't the only liar on the premises. I've had a look around. I've seen the colors that people are wearing here.
Yes, but we're not talking about the other people. We're talking about the requirements that I would bestow upon you, specifically, as an individual. I mean, as an indept, surely you don't want one group of rules that everybody must follow.
It's true. I would graciously decline your offer.
And so you would go through life untrained, uneducated, without the tidbits of knowledge and lore.
Differently educated, I would say. But yes. No one goes through life completely uneducated.
He says something to his companion that you don't understand, language that you're not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And he instantly, the companion, he immediately gets up and leaves the table that he's sitting at. Hollow continues, turns back to you, and says, I don't mean to make mock, but it is true that every initiation must be unique. Every person that walks in here seeking what we have to offer, if we were to place a test before all of them that was uniform, word would get out. People would cheat. We couldn't have that.
Simple enough.
Although I'm curious, If there were to be a uniform initiation, and you were to cheat, what lengths would you go to? What deceptions would you pull?
Hard to know without knowing the nature of the uniform test. It would really depend on a case-by-case basis. If we were talking about, for instance, let's say that there was a song everybody had to sing, and I didn't know the words. I suppose I could bribe somebody to teach them to me.
So, bribery?
It gets the job done.
Fair enough. Let me make a quick note about Hollow here. Okay. Bribery is a fairly low bar to set. What if I were to tell you that there are members here who have killed to be in?
And Riot raises an eyebrow. Is this true?
The first thing you must learn, the first lesson I can teach you without even being a student, just by virtue of being a bard, all stories are true. This is a truism you must accept, or you won't go anywhere. At about this time, his companion comes back, and he's holding a patch, just a cloth patch, and you see it's the icon of the Society of Sensation. And he says, Hollow, as he accepts the patch, kind of feeling the fabric of it between his thumb and finger. He says, I've thought of the perfect initiation for you, Riot, or Calivia. And he hands you the patch. Say, sew that somewhere on your person. Go to the fest hall. Demand to see the factyl. You have important information that only you can deliver in person to Erin Montgomery herself.
Okay.
And if you pull that off, let's say before the end of Ladies' Day, that gives you 3 days.
Okay.
Before the end of Ladies' Day, when the light fades from the sky, then I will hear your song.
And what important information am I to impart to Erin Montgomery when I see her?
And he leans back and shrugs. And says nothing.
Excellent.
I'm sure someone can fetch needle and thread for you should you need it.
No need. I can do it myself.
So I look forward to seeing what you're made of. And then he stands, leaning on his cane, bids you good morning, and leaves the room.
Okay.
At which point, after a few moments, Tasbit comes up alongside you and inquires as to what he's asked you to do.
All I have to do is get an audience with Erin Montgomery, it seems.
I don't know what it
Too
looks
hard.
like when a Modron kind of scoffs in shock at the just flippant mention of an impossible task, but Calivia knows what that looks like, 'cause that's exactly what Tasbit just did. So what do you do with the patch, and what kind of preparations do you make?
Let's see. I don't want to sew this on my own clothes, so I've got to go get a cloak I can sew this onto. Just
Okay.
some spare rag, basically.
Now, when you say like a spare rag, you mean something that's tattered and worn and dirty, or...
Yeah, something cheap.
Okay.
most of my money went to paying for my breakfast.
So what do you do with the remainder of your afternoon after the meeting? You're going to collect that item of clothing?
Yeah, and sew it on.
Okay. Kelian,
Sir,
what does your afternoon look like?
still trying to find everybody.
Where are you looking?
Mahogany's store would be next.
Is Mahogany home that afternoon?
This afternoon, yeah. By then.
Okay. So you get back to your shop in the afternoon, open it up, and Kelian arrives, lo and behold.
Kelian gives a courtesy nod.
Hey, Kelian. You have any more taxes for me?
No, but, I do have a business opportunity. This person I've done business in the past says she's got a job for me and said that I should bring several friends to this. And Serenity's on board, so I was wondering if you would be too.
Mahogany squints at you. Does Serenity know what kind of job you for her in the past?
Kelian shrugs. I have no idea what the job could be. Could be anything.
Oh, was it the first time?
Find incriminating evidence on the slavers. Which a common goal we all work towards, so.
Well, in that case, I'm sure it can't be that bad.
No.
Sure,
definitely not. All right.
When did they want to meet us?
We're going to congregate at Serenity's tenement this evening. Though, I don't think she likes that much. We should probably find another place.
Well, good luck with that.
There's only a place where all of us could gather. That would be really ideal.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Kelian nods.